Before law was written, before judges sat in stone courts, before justice became arguments, evidence, and verdicts, the ancient Greeks believed moral order belonged to something far older than humanity itself. Not to kings, not to governments, but to divine forces. Amongst the most feared of these powers were the Furies, their Greek name the Erinis, spirits of vengeance who pursued those whose crimes disturbed not only society, but the fabric of existence itself. The relationship between the Furies and the birth of law is one of the foundation myths of Western civilization. It symbolizes humanity's transition from tribal blood vengeance to institutional justice. This transformation was immortalized in the 5th century BCE trilogy by Aeschylus, the Oresteia, particularly its final play, the Eumenides. But before courts existed, justice belonged to the Furies. In the earliest layers of Greek thought, justice was about balance. When blood was spilled unjustly, something sacred had been broken, and the Furies existed to restore it. They did not wait for trials, they did not ask for evidence, they did not negotiate. If familial blood was shed, they came. To ancient Greeks, crimes against one's own kin violated the cosmic order itself. The Furies were not merely punishers, they were the living force of consequence. According to one of the oldest traditions, the Furies were born from blood. When Uranus was overthrown, his blood fell upon the earth, and from it emerged the Erinis. Ancient, primordial, older than the Olympian gods themselves, older even than Zeus. The Furies do not represent morality in the modern sense, they represent something deeper. Retribution as a law of nature. The world of the Furies was governed by a brutal principle: blood for blood, an eye for an eye. If a person murdered a family member, the Furies pursued them relentlessly, not only externally, but internally. The Greeks believed guilt itself became alive. The Erinis awakened madness, terror, nightmares, and psychological torment within the offender. Justice was not simply imposed from outside, it consumed from within. But this ancient system carried a terrible problem. Every act of vengeance created another act of vengeance. Violence became infinite. Nowhere is this cycle more clearly seen than in the story of Orestes. Queen Clytemnestra murders her husband Agamemnon. Their son Orestes avenges his father by killing his own mother. And for matricide, the Furies descend upon him. The cycle continues endlessly, revenge demanding revenge, blood calling for blood, humanity trapped in perpetual vendetta. But Greek mythology does not leave justice in this primal state. At the climax of the Eumenides, the goddess Athena intervenes, and what she creates changes civilization forever. Instead of allowing the Furies to destroy Orestes, Athena establishes a court, the Areopagus, the first jury trial. For the first time in mythic history, justice becomes deliberation, argument replaces pursuit, and vote replaces curse. The trial itself represents a collision between two worlds. The Furies argue for the ancient order, biological obligation, blood consequence, sacred kingship. Apollo argues for a newer vision of civilization, intent, reason, civic order. The human jury listens, and when the vote ends in a tie, Athena casts the deciding vote to acquit Orestes. But what happens next is even more important. Athena does not destroy the Furies, she transforms them. Athena understands something profound. A society cannot survive by suppressing justice entirely. The Furies cannot simply be erased. Athena gives them a new place within civilization itself. The Erinyes become the Eumenides, the kindly ones, no longer agents of uncontrolled vengeance, but protectors of lawful justice. This is the symbolic birth of institutional law. The state takes the right to punish away from individuals and places it into courts, juries, and civic systems. But Greek tragedy contains a warning. Athena does not weaken the Furies, she contains them. The peace only survives if the legal system remains connected to deeper justice, because when the law becomes corrupt, when truth is buried, when institutions fail, the Furies return. In modern terms, they reappear as social unrest, vigilantism, historical reckoning, psychological guilt, and collective rage. Greek myth assumes guilt never simply disappears. It must be acknowledged, given form, and contained, or it spreads. This is why the Furies still matter. They are not relics of ancient superstition. They are symbols of a tension civilization still struggles with today. The ancient Greeks understood something unsettling. Law is necessary, but law alone is not enough, because beneath every legal system lies something older, something primal, the human demand for balance when harm is done. The Furies were never truly destroyed. They remain beneath civilization, beneath parliaments, beneath courts, beneath constitutions and governments, waiting in the shadows beneath law itself. The ancient Greeks understood something modern societies often forget. Justice is not merely a system of procedures, it is a force. And when institutions lose contact with the truth, when corruption replaces accountability, when power shields itself from consequence, when suffering is ignored in the name of order, the buried forces beneath civilization begin to awaken again. The Furies return, not always as monsters, sometimes as unrest, sometimes as rage, sometimes as psychological collapse, and sometimes as societies tearing themselves apart beneath the weight of unresolved injustice. Because no civilization escapes the laws it violates. The Greeks knew that guilt does not disappear simply because it is hidden, delayed, or legalized. It accumulates, and when justice fails long enough, what was once contained within the courts returns outside them. That is the warning hidden inside the myth of the Erinyes. Law alone cannot save a civilization that has abandoned moral balance. Because when a society silences truth long enough, when injustice becomes normalized, when power no longer fears consequence, the Furies no longer whisper beneath civilization. They rise through it, and when they do not come to restore comfort, they come to restore balance.